Hello, everybody. Welcome one and welcome all to the one and the only Junk Shop Library channel, where we do improv Bible study, wherein we read a chapter at a time from the King James Bible of 1611, because it's in the public domain, and then we rip into it in the most disrespectful and profane way we possibly can and rip at the new one it so richly deserves. I'm your host, Junk Shop. I am an atheist. Now and forever, though not once upon a time. Today, we got a little bit of housekeeping to do before we launch into things. We've got a slew of new people to welcome to the library. The ones who have their subscription set to public, so I feel comfortable announcing. Welcome to Godless Granny, to Joseph, to Best Name Ever, and to Paul. Paul was the guest host the other day when I was on Chris's Daily Atheist Morning Show, and we had a great time together. Paul has his own channel where he flies planes. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. I'll, if I can remember to, after this is all said and done, I'll throw a link up in the description. We got people in the chat. We got Critical Cripple, we got Molly Grew, we got Mistress Angelica, and we got Math Pig. Hello, everybody. Math Pig says, did I read that right? More hemorrhoids. I'll be honest, I don't know. In the King James, you know what? I should have looked that up. I wonder if it's in my dictionary here. In the King James, the Philistines have been smitten with a plague of Emerods, which is an affliction of the nether parts. And I keep forgetting to look it up. Let's see, emergency, emeritus, immersion. Not in this dictionary. It's the only dictionary I've got to hand at the moment. But it could be hemorrhoids. It's an affliction of the nether parts. The clap, probably, yeah. All right. Well, the reason for said affliction is that, sorry, I've got a 10-foot cord here, and sometimes that's a blessing, and sometimes it gets tangled up in shit. Anybody watching who's not accustomed to me, we do swear here in the library, and sometimes we muck up our computer camera. There we go. All right. Dave says stop bragging. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's a brag, sometimes it's a goddamn nuisance. All right. So, just to track back for anybody who wasn't with us last time on the It's a Miracle God Fixed My Computer stream, which was the last time we congregated together. The Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant and stuck it in the temple of Dagon, and God was not happy about it. He smote the statue of Dagon and knocked off his head and his hands, and he smote the Philistines with an affliction of the nether parts. And now, we're going to find out what happens after that. And I made a banner for this and was all excited about how professional I was, and then I forgot that I'd done it. Welcome to the library. Good with the books, not so much with the machines. All right, 1 Samuel 6, for those of you following along in your pew Bibles. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, If ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for one plague was on you all and on your lords. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emerods and images of your mice that mar the land, and ye shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts, when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milk kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which ye return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Beth-shemesh, then he hath done us in this great evil. But if not, then we shall know it was not his hand that smote us, it was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with mice of gold, and the images of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth-shemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Beth-shemesh. And they of Beth-shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes, and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Beth-shemeshite, and stood there, where there was a great stone. And they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth-shemesh offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto the Lord. For Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines, belonging to the 5 lords, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereupon they sat down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Beth-shemite. And he smote the men of Beth-shemesh, because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,060 men, and the people lamented, because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Beth-shemesh said, Who is able to stand before this holy Lord God, and to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down, and fetch it up to you. There we have 1 Samuel 6. Well, on days wherein thy job sucketh, just remember, at least you didn't have to make golden replicas of venereal diseases to send to some other country to appease their god. Sorry, I slurped that right into the mic, didn't I? Alrighty. So, mice, huh? Oh, Molly says she looked it up. It's not a venereal disease. What is it? Molly's got me with the research. What is an emerod? An emerod of the secret parts. What is it that's going on in the Philistines' nether parts that's not a venereal disease? Oh, I'm not looking so far up the chat. Hemorrhoids or tumors from the ancient Hebrew. Tumors on the secret parts. Ew. Okay, so a plague of boils, which is a fan favorite and a favorite of the artist. A plague of tumors upon the feet. And mice, which they forgot to mention in the last chapter. I've suddenly got this image of Yahweh sitting up in heaven dispensing his wrath on all and sundry. And the appropriate trespass offering being golden images of whatever he'd afflicted you with, so that he'd remember that it was you and that you were making an atonement, so that he could, reach down and get rid of the mice and the Emerods and leave the locusts where they were until they made him golden grasshoppers and sent them back home. But lest we forget, Yahweh is not just a dick to the Philistines. Yahweh is a dick to the Israelites. So, the Philistines saddle up 2 cows that have never seen the yoke, and they attach them to the cart that they made special to send the Ark of the Covenant back home, and they send them out into the field. Say, well, if they take this thingy back to the Israelites, then we know that it was the God of the Israelites that's messing with us. And if it just wanders off someplace else, then we'll know it's just happenstance, and we've got a plague of mice and a plague of Emerods for some other reason. Well, lo and behold, the milk kine head off towards the valley of Beth Shemesh in the country of the Israelites. I've got a map there, but it does not show the location of the valley of Beth Shemesh. And the lords of the Philistines follow along behind to make sure that they see it all the way through to its conclusion. And the ark stops in the middle of the valley of Beth Shemesh near a convenient altar-sized rock. And the Philistines say, okay, well, we had, the priest got it right. It was indeed the Lord of Israel who hath visited upon us mice and Emerods, and they go back home. Well, the men of the valley of Beth Shemesh leave off their harvesting and are all glad and rejoiceful that the Ark of the Covenant has been returned unto them. It's always nice when your God comes home. And then they make a dreadful mistake. They look in the box to make sure that the Philistines didn't keep their fancy shit that was in there. And God gets mad that they looked inside his magic box and smites them. Dozens of thousands of them fall to his wrath. And they say, well, crap. That was a mistake on our part. And they send word into the surrounding countryside to say, where do we need to send this thing where people will know what to do with it? Because we done made a mistake and got ourselves all massacred from on high and shit. I see we've got Mistress Angelica in the chat. I meant to acknowledge you earlier. If I didn't, please accept my apologies and welcome. Ick, she says. Indeed. I think that was in response to the golden tumor replicas. Okay. And let's see. They send out word to see where they need to send the ark. And the Kirjath Jearimites come down to fetch it. And with that, we roll into the next chapter. Chapter 7. Well, good. Okay. Good. So I really do appreciate my faithful little cadre of library denizens here, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that they are indeed greatly appreciated. I'm amazed Math Pig is on the internet again. He had an interesting encounter last night with the infamous Jill. Everybody familiar with Jill? Jesus is Lord? Ugh. MathPig hosted that clueless nincompoop on his channel last night, and he just clueless and nincompooped all over the place. It was bad. It was entertaining, but it was bad. All right, chapter 7. And the men of... Make sure I'm not just completely glaring my eyes out. I made that mistake the other day. Yeah, and did that. I look like a demon. All right. And the men of Kirjath-Jearim came, and fetched up the ark of the Lord, and brought it into the house of Aminadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kirjath-Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and served the Lord only. And Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpeh, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. And they gathered together to Mizpeh, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord. Whoa. And fasted on that day, and said there, We have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpeh. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpeh, the Lord of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, Cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb, and offered it for a burnt offering wholly unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpeh, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them until they came to Beth-kar. Then Samuel took a stone, and set it between Mizpeh and Shen, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, Hitherto hath the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coasts thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Beth-el and Gilgal and Mizpeh, and judged Israel in all those places. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house. And there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord. There we have 1 Samuel 7. Which is essentially a chapter-length reminder that God requires sucking up to, or he will not intervene upon their behalf. All right, let's see. Baalim and Ashtaroth. The Israelites had taken to worshiping while the Ark of the Lord was out, having been taken by the Philistines and ended up in the Kirjath Jearimite's lands. All right, well, Baalim is just the plural of Baal, which just means Lord, which is a kind of generic title for any kind of god, as long as it's not like a little household ancestor shrine. Let's see. Well, I'm drawing a blank on the names of any in particular, but Baal Hadad was one of them, and so that was the construction. Lord hyphen Thingamus. And Ashtaroth, of course, were what's also translated other places as Asherah poles, which were, well, poles, columns, ceremonially carved columns that were there to represent various fertility deities, and it doesn't take a hardcore Freudian to figure that one out. But God don't like them, because the Lord thy God is a jealous-ass God and will not tolerate. Like that, oh gosh, who is it? Lyle Lovett. Lyle Lovett, the country star, has that song, My Baby Don't Tolerate, My Yahweh Don't Tolerate. It's just coffee. I knew you were all waiting for that catchphrase. Had to make sure and get it in at least once per this broadcast. All right, so they lament unto the Lord with a great loud lamentation. Come back! Come back, God! Yahweh, come back! Shane! Come back, Shane! Meanwhile, the Philistines, who just don't learn their lesson good, hear that all the Israelites are gathered together at Mizpeh, and, oh, that's just funny. Sorry, that was from, I was a little behind in the chat, and that's from a while back, so I don't know exactly what the context was there, but that's funny regardless of context. God is Marcellus Wallace. So anyway, the Philistines get the word that all Israel is gathered together at Mizpeh, and they say, "Oh, good, we can take them all out with one fell swoop," and they descend upon Mizpeh. And the people turn to Samuel and say, "Help us! We cannot stand against the Philistines." The Philistines being quite the warlike people, and Israel apparently not being a warlike people, despite having been murder hoboing around all over the countryside for the bulk of the last 1,000 years. So Samuel takes a baby, what was it, a baby sheep, goat, cow, some baby animal, chops it apart and sets it on fire and doesn't hold out any for the Levites. He offers it whole as a sacrifice to the Lord. And the Lord says, "Oh, damn, they're serious." And so he goes out and smites the Philistines from off the face of the earth and ruins their lands forever so that Israel no longer has to deal with the Philistines. Nope. No, that would have made sense. Just kidding. God makes a big-ass noise and discomfits the Philistines with the loud-ass noise. Ah, Skull Knight. Hello. Just met Skull Knight over on the Chris's Daily Atheist Morning Show. We was talking politics. So God can consume us with fireballs from his eyes and lightning bolts from his ass. Yeah, he can. He only does that when he's feeling a little show-offy. He didn't see fit to consume the Philistines. He just made a loud-ass noise and freaked them out so that the Israelites could take advantage of him while they were all scared and shitting themselves because of thunder. Mighty men of valor that they are. Anybody who tries to tell you that Yahweh is not a storm god, at least in some incarnations, is just not doing their research or is just not being honest with you. I mean, think about it. You got your hailstorms in the Egypt days. You got your weather events driving hordes of locusts across the land. You got fire from heaven and lightning from heaven and thunder from heaven. Blah-de-blah, blah. Alrighty. So the Israelites smite the Philistines and drive them before them. And then Samuel becomes a circuit rider. And he picks out his 4 places where he's going to stop off and judge Israel from. And starts doing the long circuit between them. One of them, of course, being where his house is, where he sets up his home base camp and his altar. You know, for there to be so many big stuff going on and so much Philistinism, not a lot happening so far. This is kind of a slow build-up backstory. I'm getting the impression we just need to make Samuel die and see what happens after he passes on. See how chapter 8 rolls out. Oh, I've got a banner for this. I had a banner for 7, I just forgot to put it up. I guess I can delete that one out of the queue now. Dooley dooley doo. I know what I'm doing. I'm so professional. That was terrible, and I promise not to sing at you again. Today, anyways. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah, and they were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us, like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel, when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and shew them the manner of king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons, and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint them captains over thousands, and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the 10th of your seed, and of your vineyards, and give to his officers, and to his servants. And he will take your manservants, and your maidservants, and your goodliest young men, and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the 10th of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, "Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we may also be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us, and fight our battles." And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, "Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king." And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, "Go ye every man unto his city." There we have 1 Samuel 8. "Oh, dear, dear," said Piglet. Alrighty. Well, I guess now we know why we've spent so much time talking about Samuel and his reign. His reign as judge over the people of Israel during a time when they enjoyed at least relative prosperity, and when God would come to their assistance when called. Because the ungrateful people that are the children of Israel decide they've had enough of divinely appointed judges. They want a king. Now, here's some of the weirdness of the King James Version. As we all, I'm sure, know, the King James Version is called the King James Version because it was commissioned by King James of England. James, I want to say the first, but I wouldn't swear to that, so don't hold me to it. The full title, I think, is the Authorized Version of 1611, and then it's got some kind of long-ass subtitle that hadn't been used in, a couple of hundred years. One of the things that's peculiar about and peculiar to the Authorized Version of King James is that James particularly told the scholars that any time they had the option to translate one way or the other, they were to make sure and translate it in a way that supported the monarchy and the divine right of kings. I don't have a source offhand for that. It's fairly common historical knowledge. If this was something too terribly obscure, I'd feel the need to find it and throw a card in the corner or something down in the description. And I'm sure I could rustle something up if y'all really want to get into the nitty-gritty of historical scholarship. I myself don't have any great need to, at least not at the moment. Which makes this passage even weirder. You'd almost think they'd have edited this out. This whole chapter that essentially boils down to how bad having a king is gonna suck. Except I guess it does kind of confirm the divine right of kings theory, doesn't it? It tells you that even as bad as having a king can suck, it was handed down from God to Samuel to Israel back in the day. As, of course, were taxes. Because Samuel warns, so that, yep, see, sometimes you just got to talk this stuff out, and it makes sense once you get it out in the open and out from inside the inside of your face. So, God, by way of Samuel, warns Israel that if they have a king, he's going to demand compulsory military service and taxation. And people say, we're fine with that, just give us a king, because everybody else has one. And you know what everybody else doesn't have that we're stuck with? Is your Samuel, your two corrupt ass sons, Joel and Abaya, who are taking bribes and doing crooked justice and just generally carrying on and not being right. Molly's looked it up for me. Molly is on top of the research today. It was James the First, she says. Molly's got my back with the research. All right. Pardon me. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Allergy season starting up down here in the south. Fan-fucking-tastic. Alrighty. Sorry, let me throw an asterisk up right. Asterisk. Yes, because I hate when I mispronounce that word. The word is asterisk. Let me throw an asterisk up real quick. I know the marathon streams are over, but the last word I checked was our good friend Purple Rhymes with Orange is still a little shy of his goal. He's trying to get some funds together to get moved back home to Minnesota after a fairly epic saga of not being home in Minnesota. Let me throw. He's got a PayPal thing for it and a GoFundMe. Let me see if I can. It didn't. Let's see. It didn't come up as a live link, but there it is. And if anybody's got a few bucks to spare, like $1, $2, $5, he prefers the PayPal pool. Dave, can you wait a minute? You're not a mod, are you? Let me bounce over to another tab. I think I could do that. Let's see here. I wonder. I bet I can do this from another. Y'all bear with me just 1 second while I try to do some technological stuff that I ain't never done before. I hope I don't have too many tabs open. Doodly-doodly-doo. This is just going to be riveting stuff for anybody watching after the fact. Oh, we appreciate you too, you people watching after the fact. Don't think that we don't. Let me jump forward here and see if I can, because I think I can do this. All right. Let me see if that actually worked. All right, Dave, I think I just made you a moderator from another tab. If it worked and it'll let you, if you could throw up the PayPal pool link. I don't have that tab. I have just his tab up, but I'm not going to put that one up. Wow, I've got lots of tabs open. There we go. Okay. Too many tabs. Yeah. So that's those. If anybody doesn't know Purple Rhymes with Orange, he is an invaluable member of our little online atheist, skeptic, humanist, and just general good person community. He's a good guy, and he's got a long trek ahead of him. There we go. How odd. Okay, this I'm gonna have to crane up. Yeah, it's up there. Oh, I don't want to put him in timeout. This is the one thing I don't like about StreamYards is that the chat is a little wacky. But anyway, there's the link there. It's in the chat. So if anybody's got just a handful of bucks that they can throw his way, he would greatly appreciate it. He's made amazing progress towards his goal. The whole community has really stepped up its game and really thrown in behind him. But last I checked, he was still a little shy. And anybody who can help, I encourage you to. Alrighty. I threw up an asterisk. What were we talking about? Joel and Ahaib. Ahaib? Acai? No, that's some kind of weird food stuff. Abaya. Joel and Abaya, who were taking advantage of their position and judging Israel corruptly in the old age of their father and taking bribes and all manner of shit. Thank goodness we as a species have grown out of a time when nepotism and corruption was causing chaos in the justice system and in the government. I tell you, it took us 2,000 years, but we finally outgrew. Yeah. All right. So, Joel and Abaya were such corrupt motherfuckers that they drove the children of Israel to the extreme of wanting a king, despite the fact that they could see how well that was going for all the people around them. Despite the fact that God, through Samuel, warned them that it was going to bring compulsory military service and taxation and privation and desperation and all other manner of Asians. They still insisted they wanted a king, and Samuel went back to God and says, they ain't listening. They still want a king. Yahweh says, you know what? Fuck them. They want a king so all fired bad, they can damn well have one. Send them all home and we'll get them set up with a king. Samuel goes back to the leaders of Israel and says, you know what? God says you can damn well have a king. If you're so all fired insistent, go home and we'll let you know when we've got one set up. And that was chapter 8. And now I want to know what happens. So we are going to keep on rolling on into chapter 9. I hope y'all all continue to hang with me as I get all caught up in this weird-ass little story. I appreciate your presence, one and all. I know it's a weird time of day. It's way the heck earlier than I usually do this, but I was just kind of feeling it. I was just kind of feeling it this morning, and I thought about just recording a video and maybe putting it up, maybe having a premiere this afternoon and hanging out in the chat. But the two subjects I want to talk about with a little more preparation under my belt, really going to get my cranky going. And I wasn't really feeling getting my cranky on today. So we're going to, I figure we'll just go with the tried and true, what we know works, and we'll see if anybody wants to join. And people started rolling on in. And I'm seeing some people I don't normally see up in here, which I just love. I hadn't seen Math Pig in a long time. I hadn't seen Angelica in quite a while. While we're talking about times, is there a time, besides for Dave? I know what time zone Dave's in, and I know my preferred, like, 5 to 7 p.m. Central is like the middle of the godforsaken hour of why am I awake for poor Dave. So, but that's all right. Everybody knows Dave doesn't sleep anyway. But if there are particular times, this is why we should really all just be on GMT to begin with, because we could just say 3 p.m. GMT and not have to deal with time zone jumping. Angelica says she prefers later streams. I'm only up because I slept when I got home after dinner. Okay. I don't have any idea where you are, Angelica, I'll be honest. And later streams, okay. We need to strike a happy medium then between Texas. Okay, so you're what, 2 hours earlier than me, so it's like 7:30 in the morning for you. Woo, doggy. All right. What a way to start your day. Nice shot of junk shop in the morning. And a little bit of the word of the Lord. You got an interesting idea of how is a good way to start your day. I'm glad that you joined us. I don't understand it, but I'm glad of it. All right, let's see what happens. Chapter 9. 9? Wow, that is wow, look at the bags under my eyes. Fuck. Okay. Yeah, but chapter 9 I did put in the banner. Hello. All right. Chapter 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people. And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but found them not. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come, and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses, and take thought for us. And he said unto him, Behold now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he saith cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither. Peradventure he can shew us our way that we should go. Then said Saul to his servant, But behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again, and said, Behold, I have here at hand the 4th part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Beforetime in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come, and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was beforetime called a seer. Close parenthesis. Then said Saul to his servant, Well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, Is the seer here? And they answered them and said, He is, behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city, for there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. As soon as ye be come into the city, ye shall go straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice. And afterwards they eat that be bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him. And they went up into the city. And when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, Tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin. And thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, Behold the man whom I spake to thee of. This same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul, and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thine heart. And as for thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on thee, and on all thy father's house? Saul answered and said, Am I not a Benjamite, of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me? And Samuel took Saul and his servant, and brought them into the parlor, and made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I gave thee, of which I said thee, Set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold, that which is left, set it before thee, and eat, for unto this time hath it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. And they arose early, and it came to pass about the spring of the day, that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying, Up, that I may send thee away. And Saul arose, and they went out both of them, he and Samuel, abroad. And as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, Bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand thou still a while, that I may shew thee the word of God. There we have 1 Samuel 9. I see activity in the chat. Hey, Paul, welcome. Oh, Paul's driving and so can't talk. Yeah, no, good. Don't. Feel free, please drive instead of chatting. I'm against the multitasking while driving. Paul says he's talking through voice recognition. It's not working very well. Sorry, wrong button. Yep. That's the gentleman who flies the planes that I was talking about back at the beginning of the broadcast. He was who was with me on Chris's Daily Atheist Morning Show the other day. All right. So, tall Saul, head and shoulders literally above everyone else of the people. And Saul's father Kish loses 2 asses, or, well, some asses. It doesn't actually say how many. Some of his asses wander off. And Kish, father of Saul the Tall, says unto Saul the Tall, I need you to go find my donkeys. Very expensive thing to lose. So Saul heads off, and he and his servant, they search for 3 days. Through counties over. Oh, hell, wow, everybody's coming in. Hello, Maya. Welcome, welcome. Oh, you're not late. We don't have a time frame here. I've been rolling on through 1 Samuel. We started in chapter 6. We just wrapped up the reading part of chapter 9. I don't know how long we'll be going, honestly. We've been going right at just before an hour. When people start letting me know that my camera's glitching out and being stupid, that's when we'll wrap the broadcast. Because that's really the only timer I've got. That and the fact, well, I'm already out of coffee, so that particular clock is shot. All right, so they wander for 3 days, looking for his dad's donkeys, and finally they get to the land of Zuph. Z-U-P-H, for those of you wondering. Zuph. And Saul says, this is getting ridiculous. We've been doing this for 3 days. Dad's going to stop worrying about the damn donkeys and start to wonder what happened to us. We should go home. It's going to take us 3 days to get back. We'll have been gone a week by the time we finally get back. And his servant says, I've got an idea. In the town just over the next hill, there's a prophet. There's a seer. Then we get this weird parenthetical that says, okay, just for those of you who don't know, back in the day, what we now call a prophet, they used to call a seer. Now we know. He says there's a seer, a prophet. We could go ask him about the donkeys. Saul says, how the hell are we supposed to get an audience with a prophet? We don't have anything. We've already eaten all our bread. We'll be lucky to get back home without starving to death at this rate. And the servant reaches into his pocket and says, I got a little bit of silver squirreled away. 1/4 of a shekel, which is not much, but kind of a lot for a servant. And Saul says, perfect. All right. Well, let's go find this prophet. And so they go looking for the prophet. And they find some young women drawing water from the well. And they say, we're looking for the prophet. And the ladies say, if you hurry, you could catch him. He's in town to do the sacrifice and to judge the people, but he's headed up to the temple right here as we speak. So if you want to catch him before lunch, you better get on the move. So they hustle on up to the temple. Cut to Samuel was told yesterday that there was going to be a Benjamite come looking for donkeys. And that was the guy that the Lord had chosen to be captain, at this point still just captain, but to be king over Israel. Because heaven knows, if there's one thing the Israelites in this book need, it's to thrive under the command of a warlord. Get all lost and confused if they don't have slaughtering to do. Well, she is not reading. Sorry, Dave. I'm trying to interact with the chat a little bit. All right. Y'all, pardon me. Sorry. So, Saul and Samuel meet up at the gate of the temple. And Samuel says, I'm looking for the prophet. Where does he stay? Samuel says, I'm the prophet. And by the way, those donkeys you're looking for, don't worry about them. God knows where they are. Saul's all impressed and shit. All right. So, Samuel takes Saul aside, and he offers a sacrifice, and he gives Saul the Levite's portion to eat. The shoulder, the good meat, a big chunk that they take out of the sacrifice, leave over, and don't set on fire. And they feast, and they feast, and they feast, 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 feast. And then they commune on the top of the house. That's not as dangerous as it sounds. Houses in this place at this time, they all had a flat roof with a tiny little parapet around it. Yeah, Molly says, this right here, this is where God help me find my car keys comes from. Yeah, this is the original prayer to St. Anthony is what's going on here. Tony, Tony, turn around. Something's lost that can't be found. Shout out to any of my ex-Catholics in the house. Alrighty. Um, anyway, flat roof, little parapet. It was not unusual at all to sleep on the roof at night because you got the breeze off the desert come through, and the heat of the day wasn't trapped in. It's if you're inside the house and you spread out the heat of the burning ass desert, TM, uh, was just trapped in the house, and it takes a long time to go away because hello, no air conditioning. Not a lot in the way of cross ventilation either. So you would go up, you would sleep on the roof, and the cold night air off the desert would come blowing through and keep you nice and cool. Um, so they go up, they sleep on the roof, they chat until late into the night. And then the next morning they come down, and Saul said, and so as it was about to pass the spring of the day. I don't have any idea what that means. The spring of the day. If I had to guess, I would guess that that meant the morning. That the spring of the day is the morning, the summer of the day is the noon, fall is evening, the winter is night. I assume that's an idiom that has not survived to the present day in the current language. Um, that would be my assumption, but that would only be an assumption. I have no secret knowledge of this. So they go out at the end of the day, and Samuel says, "Send your servant on ahead, because I've got stuff to tell you from God." Saul says, "Okay," and sends his servant on ahead. That's the end of the chapter. Not a lot going on. Again, this is all prologue. Everything, the first 9, 10 chapters of this book have all been prologue, and I guess we should just be grateful it's not more tabernacle building instructions. Because as much as I've tried to make a running joke out of ephod, there's only so much you can do with verbal blueprints. All right, so stand thou still a while, that I may shew thee the word of God. Let me throw up a banner real quick, in case anybody's skipping ahead. I actually did, I had always sort of thought that the banner or the flag indicating what chapter we were on at a certain point might be useful. I had it actually happen for the first time the other day. When I went into my dark little backstory about why I hate the story of Samuel and Eli so much. I put that out when I was plugging that episode on Twitter. Said if you're curious about my backstory, just skip ahead to chapter 3. And I was able to do that because I had my little running crawler there saying what. Right. Paul says that makes perfect sense. Hallelujah. I love making sense. I don't do it often, but I'm happy when it happens. Okay, chapter 10. And Samuel took a vial of oil, and poured it upon his head, and kissed him, said, Is it not because the Lord hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? When thou art departed from me today, then thou shalt find 2 men by Rachel's sepulchre in the border of Benjamin at Zelzah. And they will say unto thee, The asses which thou wentest to seek are found. And lo, thy father hath left the care of the asses, and sorroweth for you, saying, What shall I do for my son? Then shalt thou go on forward from thence, and thou shalt come to the plain of Tabor. And there shalt thou meet 3 men going up to God to Beth-el, one carrying 3 kids, and another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a bottle of wine. And they will salute thee, and give thee 2 loaves of bread, which thou shalt receive of their hands. After that thou shalt come to the hill of God, where is the garrison of the Philistines. And it shall come to pass, when thou art come hither to the city, that thou shalt meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place, with a psaltery, and a tabret, and a pipe, and a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shall be turned into another man. And let it be, when these signs are come unto thee, that thou do as occasion serve thee, for God is with thee. And thou shalt go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down unto thee, to offer burnt offerings, and to sacrifice sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shalt thou tarry, till I come to thee, and shew thee what thou shalt do. And it was so, that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. And when they came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. And it came to pass, when all that knew him beforetime saw that, behold, he prophesied among the prophets, then the people said one to another, What is this that hath come unto the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? And one of the same place answered and said, But who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb, Is Saul also among the prophets? And when he had made an end of prophesying, he came to the high place. And Saul's uncle came, and said unto him and to his servant, Whither went ye? And he said, To seek the asses. And when we saw that they were nowhere, we came to Samuel. And Saul's uncle said, Tell me, I pray thee, what Samuel said unto you. And Saul said unto his uncle, He told us plainly that the asses were found. But of the matter of the kingdom whereof Samuel spake, he told him not. And Samuel called the people together unto the Lord at Mizpeh. And he said unto the children of Israel, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hands of the Egyptians, and out of the hands of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And ye have this day rejected your God, who himself saved you out of all your adversities and your tribulations, and ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken. And Saul the son of Kish was taken, and when they sought him, he could not be found. Therefore he inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come thither. And the Lord answered, Behold, he hath hidden himself among the stuff. And they ran and fetched him thence. And when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders and upward. And Samuel said to all the people, See ye him whom the Lord hath chosen, that there is none like him among all the people? And all the people shouted and said, God save the king. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom, and wrote it in a book, and laid it up before the Lord. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there went with him a band of men whose hearts God had touched. But the children of Belial said, How shall this man save us? And they despised him, and brought him no presents. But he held his peace. Chapter 10. Dave says the audio's getting out of sync. Oh dear. My infamous 1 hour crash of the camera. All right. Molly says that's where the UK's national anthem comes from. Now I know. Yeah. You know what? I didn't know that either. God save the king. 1 Samuel 10:24b. For those of you curious. Behold now thy curiosity be satisfied. Okay. Well, poor Saul, he don't want to be king. Poor Saul. He went out looking for his father's lost donkeys. And not only did he not get the glory of being the one to find the donkeys, he's ended up his ass a king, which he did not set out to do when he got up the other morning. God is a jerk. You get up one morning, you go looking for some lost donkeys, before you even know it, for no discernible reason other than that your ass is tall, you end up getting made king over a whole country. Tall and good looking, it said back in chapter 9, but beyond that, nothing. Nothing about his character in here, nothing about his experience or qualifications, nothing about how he would make a good king, how he was a leader of men among the men of his father, nothing. He just got picked because his ass was tall. As far as we know. And he doesn't want to be king. Samuel gathers everybody together after all the sacrificing and all the signs that come to pass. Oh, real quick detour here about the proverb. Yeah, he gets back to his hometown, and he's prophesying along with all the other prophets and everybody he knew growing up. Says, "Are you a prophet now?" So it became a proverb whenever anybody starts acting out of character, presumably. "Are you a prophet now, like Saul?" There's so much of that in this book. Weird little parenthetical asides talking about where phrases and sayings came from that have since passed completely out of use. Not just in English, but in the original language, which, of course, is dead. You know, nobody speaks prehistoric Hebrew anymore. You know, as it was, therefore it is said, as it was then. You know, that I wanted to say the first one was Nimrod. You know, therefore it is said, as Nimrod, a mighty man of great renown, or something like that. All right, so we take a detour to explain where the saying came from. "Are you a prophet now, like Saul?" And Samuel gathers all of the children of Israel together, calls them up by their families, and he calls little Benjamin, and then little, what was it, Hamish? Oh, yeah, we're talking about God Save the Queen over in the chat. The king, the queen, whatever it is at the time. It's been queen for like 300 years at this point. How old is she now? Good Lord in heaven. And we don't... Dave says, and we don't talk about the third verse because it's about beating up Scots. That's all right. Nobody actually pays any attention to the verses of their national anthem anyway. You're lucky if you get past the chorus. How many verses do we have in the United States national anthem? It's like 5. And yet people born, raised, and bred in this country, you're lucky if you've ever heard the second one. If you even know there's more than 2, you're remarkable. And if you know all the words, you're probably some kind of savant of period music. Yeah, don't mention the third verse. Hashtag don't mention the third verse. All right. So Samuel calls all the tribes of Israel together and says, "Benjamin, come forward." The tribe of Benjamin steps up. He says, "Matri, come forward." And the Matri family comes forward and he says, "Saul, son of Kish, step forward." Crickets. Saul? Saul. Anybody seen Saul? They look for him and they find him hidden among the stuff. I wish I had other versions of the Bible close to hand. I wonder, I think they're all downstairs. This bookshelf is all languages and encyclopedias. Yep, I don't have any other versions of the Bible close to hand. I'd look it up and see how it's translated among the stuff where Saul was hiding. I might scribble that down. among the stuff. And then hope I remember what that means. Okie dokie. So they find him hiding because he doesn't want to be king. Can you blame him? You know this unruly nation here? Yeah, Molly giving us a history lesson about the American national anthem. What? Oh, yeah, no, you're right. And I think this cord is long enough for me to reach that. We're going to take a brief detour into another version of the Great Caesar's Ghost. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's behind Lady Gaga. Gaga greater than Bible. I stand by this. All right, and what was that? That was 1 Kings 10:22. Or Samuel, rather. 1 Samuel. Wow, I should have been reading out of this. This got some nice big print. 10. Baggage in this version. And the clan of Matri was chosen, and finally Saul, son of Kish, was chosen, but they looked for him in vain. Verse 22. Again they consulted the Lord. Has he come here? The Lord answered, he is hiding among the baggage. Yeah, now that's a Bible. But this is a beautiful book. Just, I mean, it's a terrible text, but as an example of bookmaking, this is a beautiful thing. I would not be writing in this and tearing out pieces of it and setting it on fire and shit. Thank you for that, Julie. All right. You know, that's not the first time something like that has happened. I need to drag a couple more versions up here so that I can do those comparative things if I get the inspiration to. Maya says, does anyone actually sing the third verse? I didn't know there was a third verse. I think we're talking about the UK national anthem. And Dave says, I do love nice books regardless of the content. Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah, Molly says, I appreciate that. Stupid book has sentimental value. We've all got stupid stuff that has sentimental value. Okay, so, hiding amongst the stuff, or the baggage, or whatever, God says, go look for him among the luggage. They look for him among the luggage, and tall Saul is hiding in a bag of, not in a bag, but amongst the luggage. And they drag him out and bring him to Samuel, and Samuel says, look it. You wanted a king? God picked this tall motherfucker. The people say, God save the king! And poor Saul's stuck with it now. Because he's notable not just for being from a small family, from a small tribe, but for being good-looking and tall. He sticks out of every crowd that he's in, head and shoulders above the rest, literally, and now his ass is king. And I think that's a good place to wrap it up, with the coronation of Saul the Matriarch, the son of Benjamin. Because other than some weird audio stuff that Dave noticed and that Paul didn't seem to notice, we seem to be doing all right, camera-wise. And I think I'm going to call it. While I'm ahead. So, Maya, yeah, talking in the chat about family Bibles. Maya says I don't think we have a family Bible. My husband does, though, and we keep it locked away so it doesn't get damaged. I've got one of those. Um, my I've got my maternal grandfather's old Bible, and I keep it actually wrapped in paper and shut away in a cabinet so that it doesn't get fucked up. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Um, the usual suspects and the newcomers alike. Thank you all so much for joining. It's been terrific fun. If you would, make sure and hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Um, I kind of struggle with that personally. I sometimes forget to click like on videos, and so I guess karma has decreed that I struggle to get the likes myself. Um, Anybody you think would find this interesting, informative, annoying, feel free to share this around on the various interwebs. And I will see y'all again hopefully soon. I'm kind of back in a groove now that I've sort of figured out how to live stream and how to enjoy live streaming. Um, I I was off for what ended up being, I think, over a month. Dr. Osiris, one of my few but faithful who's been with me for a long damn time, pointed out that I'd been gone for like almost a month or over a month, and I realized, yeah, it has been. I didn't realize it had been that long. And Dave's dropping links. Yes, I'm on Twitter. Um, I don't watch my language on Twitter, even as much as I do here. Scary, ain't it? Paul says, cheers. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So glad you enjoyed it. So glad you dropped by. Um, I think that's all outro bit I've got. Like and subscribe. Check out the me on the various socials. And if you've got crazy billionaire money or know somebody who does, I do have a Patreon. The link is buried down there in the description somewhere. I think I remembered to put it down there. It's a little dusty. I hadn't done any updating on it for a while, but it is there. More importantly, if you've got money to be thrown at a Patreon, throw it at Purple Rhymes with Orange, because he is on the clock. He's going to be moving in like, what, fucking Wednesday or some shit. So, if you've got spare coin this week, throw it his way. Until next time, everybody, take care, be safe, stand against hate. And we will click the button, end the broadcast. Yes, checkbox. Bye, everybody.